In the psychology of the modern civilized human being, it is difficult to overstate the significance of the house.
There's a moment in Kitty Horrorshow's anatomy, one that really stuck with me. It's not one of the game's biggest moments. It's something small, subtle, something that serves to draw you in. Hi, my name is Pharaoh. I am a solo game developer and Haunted Plush. The moment I'm talking about occurs early. The game has done little more than establish its atmosphere and central gameplay loop at this point. You listen to a cassette player in the kitchen, the game tells you where the next tape is, you grab it, and you repeat. It's during the fourth tape you need to grab when the moment I'm obsessed over happens. You're told the tape is in the living room. You enter this open room and see the light of the tape next to a large TV. You approach it and nothing. This maneuver only works because of the knowledge of what the TV often does in horror media.
That TV's gonna turn on and scare the shit out of me.
When I was playing, I expected the TV to turn on and scare me too. And it doesn't. I refer to this kind of subversion as a hanging scare. A scare that is teased but not yet completely fulfilled. This makes it harder for a player to predict when future scares might come, and when the player doesn't know when they're going to be scared. Their only option is to always be on edge. Boo! Now, hanging scares are a tool, and like any tool, they can be overused, risking the player gets desensitized to them. Much like a game that overuses cheap jump scares, losing the ability to even make you jump, instead acting more like a loud and obnoxious child screaming in your face. A game that overuses hanging scares can feel empty. The horror games where nothing really happens. Now, Anatomy's TV is mere minutes into its playtime. Too early for a slow creeping game like that to be ready to scare you. But it's an important time to set up the idea that something can scare you. Luckily enough, this TV is recurring. So as Anatomy loops and degrades, we can see how the scare develops. As mentioned before, the first instance of the TV is found moments into the game. It is tempted to approach, but it ultimately does nothing. The second time you interact with the TV, the game has already properly scared you. The tape before sounds like this. The idea the TV will scare you is even stronger. As you approach, you might notice that it is interactable now. It doesn't do anything that a TV usually wouldn't do. Just a blank screen with input on it. The third time the TV shows up, it looks like this. The rule of threes doesn't exist just because 3 is a nice number. It's a useful structure, with the first instance introducing the idea, the second instance reinforcing it, and the third subverting it. Can you do an effective scare with more than 3 instances? Of course. You can only have one introduction and one subversion, but some works spend hours reinforcing an idea, just to subvert it right at the end. And of course, Anatomy's TV doesn't exist in isolation. Instead, it's part of a greater whole. A whole that ratchets up the tension for the game's truly big moments. We can't ignore the importance of this build-up, though. A punchline is never funny when it's said on its own, and a scare isn't going to be nearly as effective in isolation. Sometimes you need to be patient. Sometimes you need to save your scares for later. And sometimes the best scare is no scare at all.